Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 721. Klein's Guidance. On the future, Frank Lee rolled up his sleeves and began flicking his fountain pen while writing with a smile. My dear friend, Gehrman Sparrow, I have good news for you. I have successfully cultivated a new breed of mushrooms by using the flesh and blood of a rose bishop. As long as there's fish, it will keep growing. We'll no longer have to worry about not being able to eat mushrooms due to long voyages. Furthermore, it has been crossbred with beef, making it taste excellent. Its only flaw is that there's no way to make it catch fish by itself. External help is needed, but I don't think it's too big a problem. After all, based on what Nina said, it wouldn't corrupt the ocean. Well, let's just pretend she's right. I've mailed you some dried mushrooms. As long as you give it water and fish, they will immediately become normal and reproduce by themselves. I hope you will like my gift. After going on and on, Frank finally folded the letter and placed it in an envelope. He stuffed 3 dried mushrooms into it before applying glue and sealing it. After doing all of this, he took out the note Klein had given him, followed the description written, and began to seriously prepare the ritual needed to summon the messenger. This wasn't complicated for Frank, so it didn't take long for him to set up the altar and create a wall of spirituality. Finally, he solemnly placed a lone gold coin before the candle. He lit the candle, softly chanted the incantation, and stared at the flame. He watched it burgeon as a headless woman walked out with 4 heads in hand. Frank first jumped in fright before staring at Rionette Tinker's 4 beautiful, blonde, red-eyed heads that looked identical with patience as he muttered, "How was it done? Why are they completely identical? If planted in soil, will more be grown?" The eyes of the 4 heads held by Rionette Tinker turned in different directions before uniformly falling on Frank Lee's face. Suddenly, the soil stored inside all kinds of vessels within the room flew out and piled before Frank. Following that, Frank floated up as he tumbled in midair with a shocked expression. He was thrown straight into the pile of soil with his head first. His legs kept struggling as they dangled outside, but he was unable to pull himself out of the soil pile anytime soon. Only then did 2 of Rionette Tinker's 4 heads reach out forward, separately biting down on the letter and the gold coin. Only after she completely disappeared did Frank Lee finally find the best spot to exert his strength to escape the soil as he fell to the ground. She's powerful. Frank first sighed with a sense of lingering fear. Following that, he wiped the soil beside his mouth, bit into it, and chewed on it carefully before muttering to himself, "It's a bit sour." At that moment, Katla, who had just finished a sacrifice in her cabin, sensed something. Her dark purple eyes subconsciously looked towards Frank Lee's room, and she vaguely saw a crudely made illusory doll. The doll didn't have a head. The scene flashed as Katla closed her eyes immediately. She felt her eyes were burning as she couldn't help but have her tears flow out. She knitted brows little by little as she muttered in disbelief, "Ancient Bane?" After sending the meteorite crystal and black hunting giant lizard spinal fluid to Miss Magician and Miss Justice, Klein returned to the real world. He lay himself down on a reclining chair as he allowed his body to rock gently. He began considering where he would head to next. With news of Gehrman Sparrow's sighting and crazy Captain Connor's Victor's matter, it's unlikely that the pirates will openly appear in Byam for some time. They've either left the harbors or are hiding themselves, making it difficult for others to find them. That is to say that there's no need for me to stay here. The matters regarding the resistance can be directed by responding to them through Sea God or by going through Danitz. I'll head to the Seaweed Bar later. I'll get a fake identity, buy a scalp ticket, and head for Desi Bay's Conant City. That's not only the biggest harbor around here, but it's also Davy Raymond's hometown. I previously agreed to this Red Glove's request when I released him from creeping hunger that I would pay this beautiful Bay City a visit and tell his daughter that revenge has been exacted. Yes, I'll also think of a way to return the Nightmares Beyonder characteristic to the church. Heh, how hypocritical can people be? I'm planning on returning a nightmare characteristic while also planning how to steal a sealed artifact from behind St. Samuel Cathedral's Chinese gate. Shaking his head, Klein closed his eyes and slept to recover his spirituality. After an unknown period of time, he suddenly felt something as he opened his eyes naturally. He quickly activated his spirit vision. Then, he saw Rionette Tinker walk out of the void. This messenger was wearing the same complicated black dress, with a letter clasped in one of the head's teeth. Who mailed it? Danitz, Vice Admiral Iceberg, Frank, or Anderson? Klein received the letter as he nodded in appreciation. Thank you. He was very courteous with his powerful messenger with a mysterious background. He didn't wish to be strangled to death one day. Do you want to immediately reply? Rionette Tinker's forehead spoke one after another. Klein tore open the envelope, took out the letter and opened it to read it. The content alarmed him as he nearly forgot to reply to her. As for Rionette Tinker, she wasn't quick-tempered. She silently waited by the side. One day, Frank Lee will destroy the world. He definitely needs to be controlled. I can't give him a chance to advance. Seriously, how much does this fellow love to crossbreed and create all kinds of strange plants? The city of Silver is in need of food. A thought flashed through Klein's mind as he had a bold idea. It was to direct Frank's research efforts towards all kinds of food that suited the city of Silver. This way, cows, fish, mushrooms, rose bishops, the sea, and the world would be safe. Klein hurriedly looked up and said to his messenger, Yes, I'll immediately reply. He instantly got up from the reclining chair, walked to the desk, got out a pen and paper, and started writing quickly. I have a question. If you eat the mushroom breed you create, then eat cooked fish and drink a cup of water, will it continue to reproduce? After finishing the reminder, Klein proceeded to the main point. Is it possible for you to create wheat that can grow without sunlight, or cows that can produce milk and meat simply by consuming monsters? That seems rather interesting. He continued on this topic and wrote a few paragraphs before folding the letter. He then handed it to Rionette Tinker and, in a natural way, he said, The postage will be paid by Frank. Let's hope. He isn't dead. After the messenger's forehead said those words one after another, a representative was made to bite on the envelope. Let's hope he isn't dead. Klein jumped in fright. Just as he was about to clarify the matter, Rionette Tinker had already entered the spirit world and disappeared. After contemplating for 2 seconds, Klein wrote a divination statement, and used his topaz pendant to confirm that Frank Lee was still alive. He silently heaved a sigh of relief, packed up the dried mushrooms, and rubbed his temples before lying back into the reclining chair. After dinner, at the seaweed bar, Klein wore an ordinary-looking face and came here once again. Unlike before, the customers in the bar were mainly mixed blood or natives who had darker skin and curly black hair. They were either part of the gangs in Biam, or they were secretly working for the resistance, or even both. There weren't many ordinary people, and the commonly seen pirates who often came from different countries were all gone. Only a few people dressed as adventurers were drinking liquor and discussing rumors at sea. Klein swept the bar and found Daniel, who Danitz had mentioned. This thin loco could provide him with fake identification documents and scalped ship tickets. Without any apprehension, he went over. A second-class ticket to Conant for tomorrow, and an identification document. Daniel looked up and glanced at him. After some thought, he said, A total of £20. Just a second-class ticket to Conant costs around £9. However, scalp tickets are more expensive to begin with. Together with the faked identification documents, £20 isn't too ridiculous. Klein silently did the math before saying, When can I get it? In 45 minutes, Dino replied like clockwork. You can pay £5 first, and then pay the rest after receiving the ticket and identification. All right. Klein didn't harp on the issue as he took out his wallet and pulled out 5 £1 notes. He wasn't worried that anyone would target his wallet, for it might mean that he would save the £20, or even get more. Moments after Daniel checked the authenticity of the notes, and was about to inform his subordinates to get working, he suddenly realized that the bar was extremely silent. Klein also sensed it as he subconsciously looked towards the door. There were 2 people there. One was wearing a formal tailcoat and a black trench coat, with brown hair neatly combed backwards. His eyes weren't big, but they were bright and piercing. He had a thin mustache around his mouth, making him exude a gentlemanly feeling while also looking a little sloppy. The other person wore a hooded robe which was rather rare. His face was hidden in the shadows, making it impossible to identify him. The sloppy gentleman scanned the area and was rather pleased with the crowd's reaction. A silver coin was tumbling in between his fingers as he walked towards Daniel. The hooded person followed behind him, taking out something from his clothes and stuffing it into his mouth, producing crunching sounds. The silver coin stopped moving when the sloppy gentleman came in front of Daniel. He said with a chuckle, "Prepare 10 tickets to Pritz Harbor tomorrow for me. They need to be split between 3 different ships." "Yes, Mr. Oder." Daniel stood up in a panic as he replied. Klein momentarily failed to recall who the sloppy gentleman who was tumbling the silver coin in his hand was. Only when he heard the name, Oder, did he find him familiar. As he was recalling, he saw the man in the hood take out a coffee-colored sweet before popping it into his mouth. He was munching on it, producing the sounds. After obtaining an affirmative reply, Oder and the man didn't stay any longer. They walked to the staircase in the quiet atmosphere, and they headed for the 2nd floor of the bar. Daniel exhaled as he turned his head to see Klein looking puzzled. He then said, "Oder. The adventurer Oder, who serves the Dawn. I remember, Silver Coin Viper Oder. He's always claimed that he works for Queen Mystic, but no one could prove it. I can ask Ma'am Hermit later. The last I heard of him was at Demir Harbor. He was apparently mixing with Admiral of Blood's intelligence officer, Old Quinn. However, the latter has already been finished off by Mr. Hangman." Klein instantly recalled many things as he deliberated and asked, "What about the other one? Who knows?" Daniel turned his head to instruct his subordinates as he got them to prepare some identification documents and the corresponding ship tickets.